It's raining a little bit, but welcome to Machu Picchu. I'm using my GoPro today, which I haven't used in a while because it's waterproof, and my DJI Pocket 3 isn't waterproof, so I'm gonna have to go with this, which is fine. It's a good camera. It's a really good camera. Just amazed that no one's here. I don't even see any workers down below. Definitely advantage to be able to take some shortcuts and get into the main site early. So come along with me and let's do some exploring in Machu Picchu today in the light rain and pretty heavy fog, to be honest. No big lines behind me. This is what happens when you come into Machu Picchu even before the workers start coming in. I've got the whole place down here to myself. This is pretty spectacular. I can't even hear people talking up above me in the usual tourist spots. I'm actually walking on the famous Inca Trail, the one that went from Cusco to Machu Picchu, and now people pay minimum of $600 or $700 to hike here for 4 days. Up ahead is the actual entrance to Machu Picchu. Normally you'd be able to see the mountain Huayna Picchu behind, and the doorway actually frames it up very nicely, which is an intentional feature, but you can't see it today. The fog is just really heavy. And now I'm going to enter Machu Picchu itself. I'll be surprised if I see anyone here for at least 30 minutes because everyone's going to wait up above trying to get the postcard photos, which, looking at how heavy it is and how dark the sky is above me, I really doubt they're going to get those today, at least this morning. There are undoubtedly some tourists up above by the watchman's hut. They're going to be pretty disappointed, I think, waiting for photos. Look close up in the little window on the top. Can you see the little animal there? That's what we call a vizcacha. They're part of the chinchilla family. That guy is there almost every morning. He is dead calm, trying to make sure that I don't see him and go eat him. It's instinctive to protect them from pumas up in the higher mountains, but here, of course, they're perfectly safe. Most people don't know that much of Machu Picchu, at least 30%, has been reconstructed. You can see the numbers painted on here to help them align things up and put them in what they think are the correct places. I'm starting to hear voices below. Those are people who are coming in the lower route and going up to Huayna Picchu, where they're not going to be able to see anything today, or at least early this morning, unless things clear up a lot. I don't have a zoom on this camera, but I can see people starting to wait up there. They're getting a little glimpse through the fog, but not much. I can also hear a jet flying over. I don't know if you can pick it up on through the microphone here, but that jet's probably leaving Cusco, the early morning flight heading from Cusco to Lima. This double jam door is what allowed the most important people to go into not only the Inca's residence for the Inca's family themselves, but the most sacred sector besides the Sacred Plaza, which I'll be in a few minutes. You can always tell the most important parts by the double jam doors. One of the most impressive things about Machu Picchu is how they integrated both the mountain itself and their architectural constructions. The big stone on the right and the one just a little past on the side of the wall are actually part of the mountain itself. Straight ahead is the stone quarry where most of the stonework here came from. You can just see the small hill where the Intihuatana is located. I'll be up there in a little while. But this is where everything came from. It wasn't made from geopolymer plastics like a lot of really uneducated people on social media and YouTube like to say. Everything in Machu Picchu is pure stonework built by the Incas. Now I'm going to go back into the section above the Templo del Sol where you get a little bit of a view. I think I'll go down this pathway for a change, although there's really not much down here besides more buildings that I really don't know what they were for. Can you see the little hole down at the bottom of the small wall? That's one of 129 original drainage holes that are still here, because if they didn't have an incredible drainage system, this site, after clearing off all the vegetation, would have gone down the mountain hundreds of years ago. In fact, parts of it did during construction. They had to readjust some things that you can clearly tell. Down below, that building with the curved wall is El Torreon, or the Sun Temple. When the light comes in the far window, it actually is a beam that's almost like Indiana Jones-like, and it shines, and there is a split on the rock that cuts it exactly in half. I would love to know what this natural stone is. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a place where there were sacrifices of llamas here, which was fairly common, because there is a drainage system for blood to come down, or at least some kind of liquid. It could have been just for water, but it could also have been for the blood after they sacrificed the llamas. The stone quarry is pretty good size. You used to be able to walk through it, but not anymore. It's all roped off ever since the pandemic, which in Peru started exactly 4 years and 1 day ago. Every Peruvian remembers the 16th of March. There's still no one coming down. Everyone's waiting for things to clear up so they can get their selfie postcard photos. Yesterday there were some vizcachas roaming around here, but I don't see any today, although they get really still if they see someone coming. This particular stone here has nothing to do with Incas. The marks were made by, I believe it was a European archaeologist doing an experiment to see if they could split the stone using Roman methods. And obviously they weren't able to. But a lot of people say, oh, that's how the Incas did it. No, this was a modern attempt to split the granite. And all of this, by the way, is granite. It's part of what's called a granitic chaos outcrop. And it provided tons and tons of already pre-broken up stones, which granite, if you know, and I'll show you in a second, has splits, or at least this kind has splits, so it's fairly easy to break up. Here's an example of all the seams in granite. They split the stones along those seams, which made it much, much easier. Here's another one. It's called the Serpent Rock because up on top there are a lot of curved lines or curved cuts and some small indentations up there. Actually quite a few. I can't remember the number, but there are quite a few up there. It's a pretty famous rock, but unless you're really, really tall and have an extension pole, which is not permitted here, you can't see them at all. The fog's starting to lift just a little bit. I can see the Intihuatana hill up above. I'm about to go into the Sacred Plaza. A lot of people like to spread something that's really just plain a lie, that the Incas, well, they say it's a lie, that archaeologists claim that Incas did all this carving of granite with bronze and copper tools, and that is 100% completely made up. No archaeologist says that. What they did have here were quite a few hematite stones, and hematite, at least the hematite here, has about 70% iron, which these people tend to forget. And iron is extremely hard, of course, and allowed them to create hammerstones, which is how they broke up and shaped the rocks to form all the stuff that you're going to see in just a few minutes. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but the rain has definitely picked up, and as has the wind. The rain is blowing at about 45 degrees now, so I'm covered except for my legs. These are thin pants, so it's going to get cold. The Intihuatana may be the last place I go today. I may make my way out of here. This is the Sacred Plaza. There's actually no one here, not even any workers. I'm gonna find a place to get out of the rain in a minute, but you can see to the left, it's called the Principal Temple. In the center is the Temple of Three Windows, which has a kind of a unique feature. And this building over here, I believe they think probably was a little temple, or possibly even a workplace for priests. But no one, of course, is sure, because nothing was ever written about this place. The big stone in the middle there, guides used to say that it was a place where they did human sacrifices, but the truth is it was being moved at the time of the site's abandonment. You can still see roller stones underneath. Probably it was going in the middle of the principal temple up ahead. Thank goodness the rain has stopped again, or almost stopped. It was getting cold and my pants are soaking wet. The principal temple was never finished. The part on the back right, where you can see it starting to collapse, actually had nothing to do with earthquakes. The soil underneath was fairly poor, and because there was no maintenance, it collapsed, for lack of a better word, or at least partially. This part of the wall here was in the process of being finished. It would eventually have been carved out. The part that sticks out here would have been removed. There's a place up above where you can see some kind of beam would have gone across to allow for probably a doorway. The floor was much lower at the time, and the floor actually had a significant layer of sand from the ocean. Hiram Bingham found that it was a common feature in this region. They brought in the sand to, for lack of a better explanation, to make a connection with the sites in the mountains and the ocean itself. The Temple of the Three Windows actually was originally a temple of 5 windows. I don't know if you can tell, but on either end, besides the 3 windows in the middle, were windows that had been covered up. One of them has a stone on the bottom. I don't know how well you can see it in this video, but probably it was originally a water channel and was adapted to fill in that spot. But the part that formed the channel that sticks up on the top never was finished carved off. This window, or this stone, and the window behind in the middle actually make a straight line all the way across to a place that you can't see, called this sister site way off in the mountains about 4 kilometers, called Yactapata. I wish you could see it, but it's an incredible place across 2 different valleys. But in this fog, of course, it's invisible. For the people that say Machu Picchu was earthquake proof, or that any Inca construction was earthquake proof, that of course is just pure garbage. It's not even close to earthquake proof. You can see examples everywhere, huge gaps in every Inca site, at least those that have survived earthquakes. They were intended to be maintained. It's getting a little clear up above. I see a few people just now starting to make their way down. The Intihuatana sector opens up at 7 o'clock. I still have a little over 20 minutes to wait, and there's not a single worker here. That really surprises me, because there's usually someone here pretty close to 6 o'clock. Besides the roar of the river down there as it goes through a really deep, really steep gorge and some unbelievable rapids, you probably can hear the wind howling through the microphones here. Not much I can do about it, but it's fairly strong right now, at least for the mountains. All right, they were a little late getting here. Actually, they came after 7, and I got to make a new friend here, a worker named Lucho. These steps are fairly new. They've added to them in the last year, I think, but you used to take these original Inca steps up, and now you climb up the wooden steps because the traffic from tourism was doing damage to the original stone steps. All right, I'm gonna climb up to the Intihuatana, and my battery's getting low. If you're scared of heights, well, you're definitely on the side of the mountain here. These terraces were built to keep the place from sliding down. And you can see the river down below now. There's the train bridge. You can just barely see. You get a good view of the terraces, which kept the mountain from sliding down. Things are starting to break up a little bit. I've been talking with one of the workers up at the Intihuatana, and we both agreed that this might turn out to be a pretty nice day in the afternoon. You can see for the first time Machu Picchu mountain up ahead. I believe the small one is called Machu Picchu. I'm not a big fan of these steps, but they're really not bad. Nothing like the ones up on Machu Picchu. Just have to go slow and sometimes turn your feet sideways because they are pretty narrow. The good thing is they're not slick. Thank goodness. If you have decent shoes, they're not the least bit slick. All right, I'm about out of battery, so I'm gonna call it quits on this video. The rest of Machu Picchu will have to wait for another time, so I hope you enjoyed going with me on this little adventure. It's gonna be short, I know. If you like this and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and please hit the like button. It does tell me that you liked it in the first place. So thanks again for watching.